Hey everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and I didn't bother with an intro. How are you this morning? It's one of those mornings, people. The sun's going to come up. It's going to do the things that it does. So, if let's see here, I actually had like four really good ways that I wanted to start this, and now all of them seem like they're a really bad idea. Uh, did you guys happen to catch Laura FM when she was out at the protest and saw her dad? If uh, If you haven't seen that and you haven't seen the interview where she talks about it, then I think that you need to, right? We've been talking a lot recently about things that are going on in the world. I went over and was on Rabbit's channel. We talked about the fact that kids, right, are really a target. We talked about this here yesterday, right? Sadly, people, we have walked through life allowing really foul things to happen around us, right? And all of us just kind of did this number. By the way, I did it. So I'm not yelling at anybody, but we all did this number, right? I don't I don't want to see that, right? It's depressing and I'm on my way to Thanksgiving. I don't want to see that. Or there's a football game this afternoon. You know what I mean? Like there are things I want to do. I don't want to see this, right? If if we want scenes, right? Like a beautiful woman who was once a beautiful little girl, right? Looking at her dad, right? Through the windows of a cult. The number of families that this shithole organization has destroyed is astounding. And they're doing it right now, every day as we go. By the way, this isn't a Scientology program. So for those of you who are here for recovery, chill out. I promise that's where we're going. I lived the vast majority of my life like a dirtbag, right? For the first 46 years of my life. Well, I mean, I was all right as a kid, but once I jumped the rails and started being a bad person, um, you I have a very very odd perspective. I think on life. I think it's probably a little different than most because most people don't do that. Like I really did the doppelganger ganger kind of a lifestyle, right? For a very very long time, I lived the exact opposite life that I'm living right now, right? Literally, everybody here would just be a way to get a bag of dope. I certainly couldn't have an honest conversation with any single human being in my life, much less, thousands of them, right? What happened, truthfully, for me was I got clean, right? I got the crap out of my system long enough to realize the effects that my habit was having on everybody that wasn't me, right? I don't give a crap about me. I took 46 years proving that to the entire world. I was willing to give you everything, right? If I could keep getting an eye. What do you want? You want my money? You can have my money. My wife, you can take her. The kids, take them. Just keep giving me dope, right? Freedom, you can have it. God, take them, right? Until the only thing you got left is a paper jumpsuit, right? And with any luck, a Bible, if the cop's willing to bring you it, right? Nothing. Every single thing I had, I gave away willingly so that I could continue to do dope, right? That's what I did until I got sober enough to look outside of the most important creature in the universe, myself, for a very like that moment of clarity. And this is something you hear from people who suffer from alcohol use disorder. I got an email from someone that said, you got to stop calling them alcoholics. That hurts my feelings. You know what, man? I'm a junkie and you're an alcoholic. Get over it. Truthfully, I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, man. This is going to be a rip snorter of a journey for you. If the word alcoholic rocked you, don't waste my time. I'm dead serious. Don't waste my time. If the little things like that are going to offend you off of this road, beat it, because you're not going to get sober on this channel. There's no way in hell. We have a very different thing here, right? Not on my watch. Own it. Were you a crappy dad because of your drinking and drugs? Guess what? Own it. Own that crap. Because if you don't, guess what you're going to do? The exact same thing over again. I friggin' promise you, because I did it for 30 years, right? In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out of sobriety, of life, freedom. People, I gave that crap 13 years of the time I was willing to, the time I had on this planet. Let's say we hit 100, and I'm not going to hit 100, but let's say that I'm going to live to 100. I gave 13% of my time on this planet. I don't mean that because I gave way more than that, but I gave 13% of my ability to go where I want, talk to who I want, sleep with a woman, have a cat to pet, decide what I eat, decide when I shower, decide where I sleep, where I live. I gave up all of those decisions, put them in the hands of the government for 13 years so I could keep sticking heroin in my arms. So when I come out here and I talk about drugs, people, I did this. I'm not a guy that went and got a LCDC and came out to talk to you. And I got nothing against people who do. By the way, I did take that test. I'm never going to use it. I did read all of those books. I'm not going to use much of that either, to be really honest with you, because I think they should away the entire thing when they started to decide that the way we get rid of guilt in addicts, and I don't know whether this was said out loud. I don't know whether three really intelligent people got together, but somewhere in the annals of helping people get sober, we decided that if it's not your fault, then we got a way better chance of you getting sober, right? If I can say that, you know what, Johnny Scoville was a drinker, but it was mom's fault. If I can put all of that on mom, then Johnny's got nothing to worry about, right? There's no guilt. It's not my fault, it's mom's. It's also BS. Yeah. It's also complete and utter BS. And I remember sitting in counselor's office. This is something people, no joke. I don't know that I really wrapped my dome around this until about 4 a.m. this morning. But I did have an opportunity to beat this. I did sit in offices. I can't tell you how many times I sat in front of counselors. And then I come on here and I say to you, well, I BS'd counselors for the first half of my life, right? I'm not sure that that's exactly what happened. I mean, yeah, I BS'd counselors, but you know what? You guys BS me every day. The difference is I call you on it. You know, when you people go, well, yeah, I have taken an OxyContin every day for the last 67 days, right? But I don't think I have a problem. I'm like, all right, take 3 days off and call me back. Trust me, you have a problem. Call me in 3 days. They do, right? They do. I've done the drugs that you guys are doing, right? Got high on all of them. If you lie to yourself, you can do that. I did for a really, really, really long time. You want to blame this on somebody whose fault it's not? Knock yourself out. Now, don't get me wrong. Are there people in the world and on this boat who have a drug problem because of their parents? You betcha. A crap load of them. But there does reach a point of accountability. Okay? I could have my life completely destroyed by anything from my childhood, right? But then I have to get to a point where I take the 95%. Is that hard? Yeah. Right? And there are people whose stories are so unbelievable that you want to just weep, right? Girl at 14, raped by an uncle, gets pregnant, right, at 14 from her uncle. Girl got a chance. How much counseling is this girl going to need to become Oprah Winfrey? Right? That's how she started life. It's a pretty rugged way to come in, right? That's a tough childhood. In fact, her name wasn't Oprah, but nobody really could pronounce or spell anything, right? Have you ever heard that story? She had a rugged upbringing to be the richest woman on planet Earth, right? And a pretty happy one by all accounts, right? This is a woman that said, that's not going to define me. As hard as this process is, I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to sit down with people and tell them things I don't want to tell them. I'm going to dig into parts of my life I don't want to dig into because I'm not going to let this happen to Spanx. I'm not going to let it happen to Cedar. I'm not going to let it happen to Johnny. I'm not going to let it happen to my mom. I'm not going to let it happen to my dad, who, thank God, saw me sober before he passed. So when people say, you got to quit for yourself, I sure as crap didn't. Promise you, I didn't quit for myself. I'm here today staying sober for me and everything that entails, but I didn't quit for myself. I didn't like myself. And the people I meet don't like themselves. That's why they're here. They're here because they have stripped their lives of all connection. That's what dope does, right? That's what alcohol does. Tell me, I hang out with 4 people. Good. Tell me everything about them. Tell me their inner feelings, right? Tell me what their dreams are. You could tell me what they drink. You know, for real. You can tell me he can get 9 of those beers down before he goes to the bathroom. One of the weirdest things you ever seen. Still can drink a 12 pack before he's got to take a leak, right? These are the kind of things we know about the people that we hang with. Connection, that's not what we're talking about, right? I'll tell you something too. This is rugged. I say to people, you guys send me emails, and I say, fantastic. You know what? Tell me a little bit more about what's going on, because I talk to a lot of people. I need a little backstory, right? I get an email that says, I'm struggling really hard with drugs. I need help. Good. Good. What drugs are we doing? How long have we been doing these drugs, right? Married, divorced, you haven't been arrested? Are we waiting right now on 4 open court cases? Are there warrants out for your arrest? All of these things are kind of pertinent if we're trying to move forward in the direction of changing your life. Because it isn't about stopping the drug, believe it or not. It's about changing your friggin' life. It's just that the drug really gets in the way of changing your life, because you're going to have to get into all of this stuff that's mental gymnastics. And I don't know the drug that allows your brain to work the way it is supposed to, truly supposed to, right? And I'll get emails today. Weed does that. BS, people. I promise you, I smoked as much weed as you did, right? I smoked weed until I was 27. I don't think I missed a day from like 13 to 27. Smoked a lot of it. You're not going to tell me that weed doesn't knock the edge off, right? If the edge is knocked off, you're not where you need to be. We need the edges. Right? We need them sharp as crap. As we're working through and finding out what's wrong with us, that's not the time to be sugarcoating. It's not the time to be making it a little easier to get through. The idea is it's not supposed to be easy to get through. You know what's easy? Drugging, right? Hard is dealing with what you need to deal with in this life. And I'll tell you something, people, you may not believe this, and you may also never believe this. But you can get to a point in your life where when something really crappy happens, right? Like for me, when something extreme and crappy happens, that's this, right? The pin goes out of the hand grenade and clink, 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 right? The clip flies. We got about 4 seconds and Tommy's going to explode, right? There's going to be parts of personality all over the wall, right? There's going to be, 4-letter words on the floor and ceiling. Now, instead of pulling that pin, if I'm able to sit down and go, right, and just try to come up with what I got to do to make this situation get better, right? When the Porsche battery was down, this was a great example. When that damn car needed to be jump-started, and Porsche does not make a car that you can get into, right? They designed this thing so that to get into it, I need a key, right? You hit these buttons. So the battery, which is in the front, okay, well, in years past, it's irrelevant, but I had to basically hotwire this car to get enough electricity to part of it so that I could pop the hood, because there was no way to pop the hood without electricity. So the things I had to do, but it required me not blowing up. It's irrelevant. It's a stupid car thing. But the point is, every time I had any situation in my life where I would say F my life and stomp off, it's during those situations. It's when something is just, so for me to sit down and go, like, and get my breathing under control. And then actually work through it, right? I get a buzz. I'm not saying I feel good about myself. I get a buzz. I get a brain chemical out of this. I couldn't tell you what it is. I can't even tell you what it mimics. Maybe the closest thing wouldn't be a drug. Maybe the closest thing would be helping others, like no crap. The things that I do when I work with other people and I get that, oh man, the warm and fuzzy that I think this person may actually have gotten a little help from whatever we just did. That thing's a drug, right? But if I can calm myself down and analyze the situation, we had a really weird one in my pool too that required me to get more creative than I've gotten in a very, very long time to fix this, right? I dropped something into a hole that was about 6 or 7 feet deep. There was no way to get to the bottom of it just using a hand, and what was at the bottom needed to be picked up. It was very difficult. But anyway, I figured this thing out, and I felt like such a genius afterwards. But I did it without losing my mind. Does it seem irrelevant? It should. But see, that's my cross to bear. What's yours? What can you overcome without the use of drugs that's going to make you sit down and go, holy crap. Holy crap. I'm not that person I used to be. I've got no desire whatsoever to freak out, head to the refrigerator and grab a six pack, freak out, head to the closet and grab my works, freak out and head to the, dispensary and buy whatever. The ability to get through and take care of oneself, I promise you, your brain rewards you for this in a very big way. You're never going to know that if you don't give it a shot. But I promise you, this is the truth. And the better I get at it, the more I realize that the best feelings in life were always there. For real. The best feelings in life were always there. I'm not trying to make anybody uncomfortable, but ecstasy, right? That's your ridiculous sex drug, right? You got speed. That's your ridiculously, what's the word? Productive drug, right? All of these things exist inside you. I promise you they do. That person that just goes nuts and cleans your entire kitchen, that person's in there, right? That person is in there. You do not have to pay $50 to clean your kitchen. That person's in there. Guaranteed. You know how many people say to me every single freaking day, the only reason I do speed, I cannot get my house clean without it? Really? You're an idiot. You can't clean a house without a chemical. For real? Come on, people. Come on. I was that dude. I can't go on stage unless I'm on an opiate. Like I told my boss that. I cannot do public speaking without an opiate. And he said, how the hell would you know? What have you ever done without an opiate? Do you have any idea? Seriously, have you ever gone on stage sober? How do you know you can't do it? Which was a pretty decent argument. My rebuttal to that, because I was a salesperson, my rebuttal to that didn't come for about 2 weeks. When one day I went on stage sober. It actually happened about 6 times over the course of my speaking career where I could not get dope in time to walk out on stage. Once I was stupid enough to check luggage that had heroin in it, and my bag didn't get there. When you get there and they're like, your bag is lost, and you just go, you have got to be kidding, right? There's medication in that bag. If I don't get it in the next 6 hours, I'm going to die. But yeah, I went on stage as sick as you could possibly imagine, sweating so badly I thought I was going to die, but I had to keep my coat on because if I took it off, you could see on my blue shirt, light blue shirt, the dark blue from all of the sweat running down my back under my armpits. So I kept on a tailored woolen coat for an hour and 45 minutes. And I did get through the show. It is sadly a 2-hour and 15-minute show. So toward the end, when the puking was a few minutes away, I was going really, really quickly, and I was not too interested in whether or not anybody bought. And my boss, being the incredible human being that he was, said, we got to take care of you, Tommy. This is ridiculous. I said, you're right. He said, I'm going to hire a guy that's going to travel with us, and his job is going to be to hold the dope, right? He can, whatever you find the guy, if he's got to shove it up his can, whatever he's got to do, but you go find the guy and we'll pay him. He just travels with us and he carries the dope. Are you kidding? Right? That's help. Solve the problem, right? This cat sat back and said, this dude will not make me any money if he's not high. Well, then we need to keep him high. Not, let's get him sober and see if maybe he's even better. No, it was more of a, all right, we'll just hire a drug addict to travel with us, which by the way, worked beautifully until it didn't. The problem with drug addicts are you just can't trust them. And everybody pays with credit cards when you do the public speaking gig, everybody. And by everybody, I mean 98% of the room will always pay with credit cards, right? That 2% of the room will end up being hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash by the end of the year. And one day, a really small day, like 7 or 8 people bought packages for cash at roughly $500 a piece. So, there wasn't much in there, 3 or 4 grand, but he grabbed it. He grabbed it and made a run for it with a fundament full of my tar heroin. So not only was my boss really angry, but I didn't have any dope. Had to go on stage sober, and we lost $4,000, which is kind of a bummer. It's not a great day, but you just can't trust drug addicts in active addiction. Hear that? You can't trust drug addicts in active addiction. Now, I'll get emails again. I have a drug addict, a friend of mine. He's never lied to me in his entire life. I believe you. Trust and believe he's lying to somebody else, right? There were people that knew the truth about every single thing about me. It was not a very large percentage of the people who knew me. Suffice to say, it was a very small percentage. And even that small percentage kept paring down until it was one human being that really knew everything. I don't really share, especially when you're doing crime and breaking the law, you don't, and drugs in general, just force a person to lie about every single aspect of their life. Hey, Tommy, what are you doing today? Let's see. So here's the truth. I'm going to leave my house. I'm going to go to Home Depot. I'm going to see if I can't steal $2,000 to $3,000 worth of rechargeable tools. Now, that would be one suitcase size tool thing in each hand. It carries about 4 or 5 tools in each part. I would go into Home Depot. I'd go to the back door, take that expandable foam stuff that you put into cracks, and it goes. And then I would go to that little box on the back door that had the speaker on it. And I would cover the speaker in that crap, right? Just spray it all over the thing. Take it right off the shelf, right? They sell it there. And then just walk away. And then you walk around for about 5 or 6 minutes, because if you got caught doing that, they're going to grab you in the next 5 or 6 minutes. If they do not, then you can run out that back door with elephants, because there's not going to be anybody that hears it. And I would usually have Jack on the other side of it. So I'm going to kick that door open. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to throw the thousands of dollars worth of stolen crap in the back of the truck. If the coast looks really clear, I might double back. If not, we're going to take off. We're going to go see the fence. We're going to sell that, buy heroin with it, go home, shoot that, and then probably make another theft run so that we can buy a little blow and do some speedballs. What are you doing this afternoon? Right? You can't have that comment. What the hell do you tell anybody about anything? What are you doing today? Nothing. No, come on, seriously, what are you doing? Oh, I'm gonna head downtown. That girl that I met, last week said she wanted to get together for lunch or something. So you just have to make up every single thing in your life, because your truth would tell people just how messed up you are. Now, you may not be the bank robbing dirtbag, drug addict, but how's your truth? Right? How are things this morning, Liz? Good. I did drink 2 bottles of Pinot last night, and I got a little bit of a hangover. So on my way to work, I'm going to buy a half a pint, one of those little ones. I'm going to keep it in my purse. I don't have a drinking problem, but when you get hungover and it's, Monday, and then that kind of goes into Tuesday. Well, I'm on one of those. It's been like a 5 or 6 day weekend. You cannot be honest if you have a problem in your life. People are going to ask about it, and you're going to be forced to lie. We all become liars, right? All of these things fell under the title, not on my watch, right? Not on my watch. See, I came to realize that inside this, right, is this gray thing. And it's not my friend. Holy hell. Do you have any idea what a huge thing this was? I think, therefore, I am, right? Like, I thought the brain was a pretty, it was on board as being a very important part of my my clan here, my team. But as it turns out, do you know what my brain would like me to do just about more than anything in the world? Get wasted. Now, I blame me. I spent 30 years, right, drugging my brain. My brain said, you know what? I work way harder when this dude's not on drugs. I require more calories, right? I use up more sugar. Like, I must work hard unless Tommy is wasted. So let's get Tommy wasted, right? We'll send some automatic negative thoughts. And if that doesn't do it, how many shoulder surgeries has this guy had, right? Piss off that left shoulder. Let's work on that for a little bit, right? And the Achilles tendon surgeries, right? Right ankle, rip that one up. Give them the pain in the Achilles tendon, right? This is one literally, so psychosomatic pain. The pain's not real. It feels real. Holy hell, it feels real. It feels as real as the day I tore it. The Achilles tendon feels like that, because the brain's doing the same thing. But I know, right? I know I didn't tear it. I'm looking down at it. It's fine. This is my brain. So is this thing my friend? I don't think so. I don't think so. My brain just wants to get wasted, right? So as far as I'm concerned, the part of me that is conscious of that, the part of me that realizes that my brain is not my best friend, okay, that's Tommy. For real. That's the part that I have spent the last 8 years trying to bring out, right? So that that part of who I am has some control over my life, right? And the realization that that the brain is not my friend, right? And that I have to be consciously aware of that. That's the not on my watch. Not on my watch. Am I going to let my brain destroy the lives of two of the most beautiful kids that God ever created? Right? My son and my daughter are just incredible human beings. That's a great way to put it, Amy. Thank you. It's a really great way to put it. She says another way to think of psychosomatic pain is not that it isn't real, but more that it is a brain software problem and not a physical hardware problem. So a really phenomenal way to put it, right? The same pain as getting hit in the thumb with a hammer, except there's no mechanism, right? The hammer is not there. This is a great way to think of it. Thank you, Amy. But not on my watch, right? I'm not going to let that happen on my watch. I'm not going to destroy the life of another woman, right? Because I've done a lot of that, right? I've done a lot of that. And I'm not doing that ever again. So this became kind of a mantra thing, right? When I came to realize that I needed to, the first thing I had to overcome was my own dome, right? Well, this ain't happening on my watch. So I was fortunate enough to meet somebody who laid out a very solid plan for how I could accomplish that, right? And it was a huge amount of self discovery, right? And guess what? It's not a pleasant process. It's not. Neither's looking for a vein at 4 a.m., right? Shaking like this and trying to get that, right? So that you're not going to be sick. Yeah, that's worse. I promise you, I'd rather sit through all of the therapy on earth. I'd rather share my most intimate details of my life with anybody than wait in a parking lot on Mother's Day, right? In the parking lot of a Home Depot, missing Mother's Day dinner, waiting for a dude who told me 3.5 hours ago that he would be there in 15 minutes with my drugs. That happened. That was a hell of a Mother's Day. And if it makes you angry that a guy would leave me there that long, he did end up in the trunk of his car that day. I may have robbed that dude. Or somebody else may have had a hand in robbing that dude. Johnny Scoville might have been there. I'm just saying. He might have been. He might have been. I'm not smutting up Johnny Scoville, but he may have been the gunman on that one. Martha, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. The support really does help people. It really, really does. And you look fantastic in green. You understand the concept of not on my watch, right? So this started the process of Tommy Scoville becoming a sober human being. And then inside prison, weird things started to happen, right? I started to watch the day room, right? And in my unit, there was 126 guys in the unit. 126 people, right? So about half of the crowd we got here right now. And I lived on the second tier, so the top floor. And I had what's called a TV shot. And that means that my cell, through my window, I could see at least one television. And I actually had built into a radio, a remote control, right? The remote controls are only supposed to be owned by the cops. But I had a radio, and when you hit volume up, you could do the up and down, and volume down, you would do so I had like the perfect setup, and I could just open my door and sit on my rack and look at the televisions while the cells were open during the day. I could also see the entire day room, and I found myself watching drug dealers swinging dope in the day room. And it honestly kind of became funny for a while until I started watching guys that came in without a drug problem. Some of them never had a drug problem prior to going away. Like maybe they got caught selling some blow or whatever, or they got caught doing this or that, but they never got addicted to anything. They didn't have that problem. And now they're in there catching a needle habit in prison, right? Where there's one needle in the room. I'm not kidding people. When I lived at Victorville, when I was at Victorville prison, I was in I was in E block on the lower level, right? And that entire place, I'm talking about 130 guys, 128 guys, had one era, that one banger, right? That was it. And this got passed around from guy to guy to guy to guy to guy. And they'd say, "Oh, I cleaned it." You cleaned it. These aren't even, you understand, these aren't proper syringes. They take the point off of a syringe and they'll make it out of a pen, right? I've literally watched a guy with a straw with a needle on it in a guy's arm, sucking back to register and then blowing in to put the dope in. I swear to God, I've seen that a half a dozen times. It's very often done if they can't make anything else. And I started to go, not on my watch, right? I'm not letting white kids who are in their 20s come walking into this unit and get turned out by other white dudes to become junkies, right? Because the gangbanging white dudes don't want to pay for their own dope. Thank God is right. I did the same thing. I'm not going to tell you I didn't. I did. I didn't in prison. And that's the gospel truth. I did not use a banger in prison, right? With it, I got to do a caveat on this, or someday somebody's going to pop up. And I was in one prison where a guy that worked in medical came in and said, "I just stole a bag of syringes. I have 10 of them in a bag." I was like, "What do you want for that bag?" So until that bag was gone, I absolutely shot dope at that prison. But I never once used a needle with anybody else. And as they got old, I sold that thing and got rid of it. I can't use the needle like that. I would be blown away at watching what these guys did. I still did the dope. Don't get me wrong. I just got it into my system differently because it was awful. But this not on my watch concept became the driving force in my life. I kid you not. This became the driving force in my life. Not on my watch. Not going to happen. And so these guys in the day room, I went up and I said, "Hey, man, were you a heroin addict on the street?" "No, man." "Why would you come in here and start doing heroin in prison? Are you the dumbest person in the world?" And I watched this happen so many times. Dude walks in the front door, right? And they go up to him. You've heard me tell the story of how it happens when you get to prison, right? They walk up and they go, "Hey, what's up, homeboy? You good? Yeah. You got paperwork?" "I don't, but this is my third yard. My girl's ready. She was waiting for me to hit the yard. I'll have it in the mail tonight. It'll be here day after tomorrow, man. I'm good. I got good paperwork." "Great. You get high?" "That's the next question. I promise you." And these vultures, it's like a used car lot, right? They're all waiting for the new dude to walk on, because you know what? We know everybody else in this room, how much they got on their books. Russell, back me up on this. You know how everybody in that room's doing. "You know what's up with homeboy?" "Oh, dude, his old lady still hasn't sent money. Guy's got like 30 bucks on his books and he's shopping on Wednesday. He's pissed." Right? You know what's going on, but a new guy walks in. Hell, man. He might be rich. He might be really rich. He might have a drug problem and 25 grand on his books. And God forbid some other dude becomes his best friend. So they bring him in, they turn him out, they blow all of this dude's cash. And you don't understand, you ain't got to pay. You can just run up a debt. So they'll run him up about $40,000, $50,000 in debt until the people that are selling it to him, usually a different race, get really angry. And then you know what they do? They beat him up. "We'll handle this." Then they kick the crap out of that poor guy that just turned into a drug addict in the last 6 months, stomp him out, and he gets sent to the next yard. Pretty nasty. The dope habit, he doesn't leave that in the day room. That follows him wherever he goes. Not on my watch. It was the only thing I could control. But if a white boy came in that door, they knew I was going at him. They knew I was going at him. And you know what? I wasn't trying to save the world. I really wasn't. What I was trying to do was say this. All right, you see those cats? They're going to be your best friends. They're going to be your best friends because they're waiting on a fix. And that dude up there in the corner, he sells dope. And he'll give it to you for no money out of your pocket. You want to go get high? Walk on up there. Right? Go do your dope. But if you bring someone else with you, they're going to do half your dope. And someday they're going to beat you up in the day room. I promise. But if you want that life, bro, it's right up there. If you don't, I do meetings, right? Seriously, every time we go out to the yard, meet us on the bleachers. I go over there and I do a meeting. And that meeting grew, people. That meeting got big. That meeting didn't get this big, but it got pretty damn close to 240. At one point, I think we had 105 was the about, and I have a picture of it. I have a picture of every one of us. I'll dig it out and I'll show it to you because it's pretty funny. It's just because it's all the convict poses. You know what I mean? Like everybody's there, but they're all doing this one, right? They're all trying to do that. And there's the guy in the front, you know, the guys who are squatting down. Someday I'll do a show on this because it's the funniest crap in the world. But there's only 5 poses you're allowed to do as an inmate getting your picture taken, right? And they're all tough. You know, there's no one that's ever just like, oh, here I am. It's always the hands are grabbed like this. Class, there's just standard poses and they're all awful. But anyway, that was all I could control, people. You get it? That was it. But it was that little unit. And how many people came in? 2 every couple of weeks, right? Because when a unit gets filled, ain't nobody else coming in there until somebody goes to the shoe, right? And then they have to wait to see if the guy in the shoe is coming back. So it's not like new people come in every day. It's just not how it works at all, right? The way it works is might be 2-3 weeks. And if the unit runs great, you can go 5 years without somebody new coming in. If you got a unit where everybody gels and no one's beating anybody up and no one's getting run off for dope, I've never seen that, but I mean, in theory, it could happen. It doesn't. Drugs screw that up. But I said, not on my watch. I'm gonna try to make it so that these people at least have a damn educated decision about what's about to happen to them. Because you understand, you walk through the door and you're terrified. You're terrified. You've never been to a real joint, and the whole ride there, guys are going Victorville. You know where you're going, right? There's other guys on your bus that are going to a really nice prison, right? They're going to like Terminal Island, and you're sitting on that bus, and they're going, "Oh, Terminal Island, dude, you can see the boats. I was there last time. Where are you going, Victorville?" Damn, dude. Good luck. You know what I mean? So you get there, and it's like your heart's in your throat, and you go walking in, and what's the first thing you see? A nice white guy that says, "Would you like to get high? Huh? Take the edge off? You know, you're good, bro. Let's get stoned." Not on my watch. I only had to protect a couple of cats a month. And you know what? Most of them got high anyway. I mean, I keep it real. But they weren't going to do that without, like, not on my watch. Good morning, Sharon. Good to see you. I hope you're having a good day. On my watch, they were going to make an educated decision. You can't stop somebody from doing dope. You can't. But you sure as hell could talk to them before they do it. Right? And I don't save anybody either. I'm not a guru. I'm not any of those things. I don't save anybody. I talk, and occasionally people hear things and they're willing to work on themselves, and they save themselves. Everybody. I saved myself. I sure as crap couldn't have done it without Q. Wouldn't have happened. It would not have happened. I would not be here. But I did the lifting. I certainly did the heavy lifting, and I still do the heavy lifting every single day. I love this. I absolutely love this. 30 years ago, I was a willing slave to heroin or the dealer. I would steal or make hundreds every day and give it all to the man. I lied to everyone about everything. Today, I am free. Boy, do you love that? And the I am free thing, you got any idea how that resonates with me? For real. I remember Q saying to me, those guys are in prison. You know, pointing to an entire room full of people going like this because we had just had Fent hit the first time on the yard. And they're just doing this number. You know, and the stuff that the fentanyl was gray. And, you know, we had overdoses. People died on the yard. Like it was, but the whole day room was nodding out. And I looked out and I was like, boy, think the good stuff hit the yard or what? We were coming back from the factory. And he said, yeah, look at those poor bastards sitting there in prison. Because to him, there's a big difference between the life he was living and the one they were. And sadly, there are so many people listening to the sound of my voice who do not have a cage around them and are more locked up than my friend Q. They are more in prison than the guys I did time with. That's horrific. It really is. Hey, Bruce, man, congratulations, right, on freedom. And more importantly, dude, Congratulations on realizing that you're free. Because I know a bunch of people that are sober that don't get the fact that that's the biggest gift in the world. And in your particular case, 98 out of 100 of us don't make it. Right? Dude, well played, well done. And I love that comment. Enjoy your freedom, man. Like every day of it. Enjoy that freedom. Because there's really not much like it. God almighty, I love that comment. So, people, the video I made yesterday about the kids, because if you're sitting there the whole time thinking, no, no bank robber, you know what I mean? Like, this doesn't resonate with me much. How about the fact that we walk by kids getting abused and we don't say, not on my watch, right? We have cults that we know are cults, that we know abuse kids. The entire world knows it. There's nobody on planet Earth these days that doesn't have a pretty good handle on what the Church of Scientology is. Yet here we are, right? Well, not on my watch. Do what you can do, right? If what you can do is yell, yell. If you got a platform, I'm sorry, people. It's a sobriety channel, but there's a lot of things I'm not comfortable allowing to happen on my watch, right? So when I get the emails that say, I'm not sure, is what direction, the boat's doing, or are you choosing? Not on my watch, right? I'm not going to let these things happen. If there's something I can do, and you know what, you can say, Tommy, you can't do anything. You might be right, right? But I'll Don Quixote this thing until I'm dead, for real. If it's windmills, man, then let's do it. Because the other option is saying I'm cool with it, right? What's the option? Grab Sancho Panza and go, or just say I'm cool with it. I'm not cool with it. I'm not cool with it, right? And there's a bunch of other stuff, people, that you're going to come across that may I suggest that you start saying to yourself, am I cool with this? Am I going to let this happen on my watch? And you say, Tommy, I can't do anything. All it takes is half of the planet saying that. And we're going to let these people be systematically tortured until they're adults. For real. But if we could get about 10% more of people that would say, not on my watch, then we could get that building, that prime real estate in the middle of LA and turn it into a place just like the one that my brother and I toured in Tucson, that takes people without homes and brings them in a one-stop shop and transfers those people from being without homes and very often hopeless to people who have a solid base, a career, a home. Like, this place was incredible. I left there wanting to weep. And you think to yourself, this could not be any better. These people did it perfectly. And then I think to myself, it would be better if it was in the Celebrity Center. That building is awesome. And it makes me sick every time I walk by it. I've told people, even when I shot the video out there, you feel it. I'm not kidding. You feel it. It just feels like evil. It just feels like a cult building out of a really good Stephen King novel. And when you walk by it, you're like, holy hell. It's perfect for Hollywood, right? This has got to be a set. This just looks like something that L. Ron Hubbard would want to be in. Wow, holy hell. Wow. Why me? Because I have been given the gift of knowing better. I really like that. God, I like that. That's incredible. Right? Is that not it? If we're aware that this is going on and we're not doing anything about it, nothing, then what does that make us? Right? I'm not asking you to get a pitchfork, people. But if you see something about that cult and it makes you sick, tell one person about it. For real. Tell one person. You got somebody in your sphere of influence who's not aware of the fact that that place is a cult? Tell one person about it. You think I'm crazy, right? You got any idea what would happen if AA runs customer base in one day all said, I'm going to tell one person about what this church does, especially to kids. If you're thinking to yourself, 220,000 people would go out and tell a friend, then you don't understand the big red button, because millions of people have watched him. Millions. There's just a couple of 100,000 that decided to hit subscribe. About 50 or 60% of his views don't come from people that hit subscribe. This is a huge group of people that know about this and that are into it. If they all just decided to tell one person today, oh, Jennifer, I'm so happy you're here. I am so happy you're here. Jennifer says, yes, I am sick and tired of hearing, why do you care so much about Scientology cult? Because they believe my autistic children are defective and should unalive themselves. How evil is that? Well, number one, there's no way to put a 10 out of 10. How evil is that? 10 out of 10? 100 out of 100? Hitting it out of the park evil, right? A rung below Hitler. There's a lot of ways that you could, maybe the same rung. I don't know. They're about as evil as you could possibly get. And that's a pretty good indicator right there. But I get this all the time. Why are you fascinated with Scientology? Why won't you leave that alone? Because everyone else does. Because everyone else knows it's a whack job organization dragging people to hell, right? Literally, in my opinion, on this planet, right? I'm not talking about afterlife stuff, although, right, you can run with that too if you like. But they sure as hell are destroying people on this planet, people that can't say no. I don't care if you want to join a cult. What do you think of that? Go ahead. Do what you do. It's your life. You want to have a kid born into that cult? I really struggle with that. And if you're comfortable with that, maybe this isn't your channel, right? But not on my watch. I'm going to tell people about it. I'm going to tell more than one today. I promise you. I'm going to. I'm also going on a short road trip today. Giggity. I thought we'd take a ride over and check out the local org, since I now know there's a local org. I think that might be good for a couple of grins. Right? I really, I'm not a fan of their cult. I'm just not. Debbie, thank you so much for your generosity. Looks great in green. I was blonde over green. No, it's blonde over blue, I think. Kelly, Kelly B69 says, yes, Tommy, I too have never been in a cult, but I'm fascinated with them and want to see an end to it. Well, here's the good news, and I'm glad that you said this. Here's the good news. Everybody is fascinated by this. The fact that you want to see an end to it, right? That's the not on my watch part. But the truth of the matter is, the people who will not get involved are still fascinated. And that, people, right? That's our in. You understand? You start with the, isn't this interesting? Check this out, man, right? Listen to how almost bizarre this is. And listen to how it has started to unravel. A cartoon, right? Called South Park told the whole world what even the people in the cult didn't know. Wrap your dome around this. This is, I say this every day, and I don't know, I've never had anybody go, yeah, that's nuts. But how about this? Can you imagine joining a religion that tells you the day that you join it, you're not allowed to Google us, right? As part of the faith, you can't look into your own religion. Miss me with that crap, right? Isolation equals control. Who just said that? Who just said that? Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Yeah. You know why? What is isolation? Huh? It's the opposite of connection. Laura made everybody cry, Jennifer. Just for the record. Hey, Gene, you think I'm here to beat on, look, the Catholic cult, knock yourself out. Not a fan either. There you go. Knock yourself out. But my problem and the not on my watch thing is that the whether or not you believe in the Catholic Church and the things that they have done, because there is a huge history of atrocities However, this is an organization that changes and tries at least to heal itself and work on it. I'm not saying, look, I can go off on them for the next 6 weeks. I could. However, it's not a not on my watch situation. It's not. No one is doing to children what they are doing there. When the Catholic Church starts to say to people, you can't talk to anyone that's not Catholic, I'll start flinging stones. When they start saying you have to disconnect from your own children for any reason, I'll go after them. I'll make the signs. You hear me? I'll make the signs. I'll walk with you. I don't care what religion it is. I'm not picking on Scientology because it's I'm picking on them because they're uniquely evil, in my humble opinion. Right? The concept of I'm going to teach you to never connect. Do you understand how much this could piss off a guy like me? I'm the connection dude. Nico the cat. Let it be known. I love all cats. Thank you for your message of recovery. Just coming back from a relapse and feeling frustrated with myself. Thanks for giving me hope. Well, I'm not sure how much you have heard me talk about relapse. I've done a lot of videos on it. It's probably my favorite subject when it comes to recovery because the first thing you hear when you get into recovery is, well, relapse is a part of recovery, and you just need to know that, and you need to be cool with it, right? That's an important thing. You need to understand that this is part of the process. But nobody really hears that. What we hear is relapse is failure. I mean, and it must be because I've been counting days, right? I got 100 days in, and then I relapse. Well, I have to start counting again. That means I failed, yeah? Well, I don't count again. I mean, I don't. Now, I haven't had a relapse, but with other people let me rephrase that. On this last one, I've not relapsed. I've had hundreds of thousands of relapses. Every day was a relapse. I tried to quit dope every day for 30 years. And I tried with different programs, and I went away and I did all of these things. But the one that when it finally hit, no, I've never relapsed because I had the great relapse, right? The great relapse is the one that so many things make sense that all of a sudden you go, I know why I do this, right? A good relapse is where you gain ground. You move forward. I hope, Nico the cat, that you've been journaling, right? So you can go back 7 to 9 days and read everything that you journaled. And you know what your journal will do? It will tell you exactly why you relapsed. It will tell you when you relapsed because you didn't relapse when you grabbed the drink or the straw or the rig or whatever. You relapsed way before that, right? It starts off emotionally, and then it goes or mentally, and then emotionally, and then it's going to get to the actual physical part where we drive to the liquor store or we call the dope man. You get it? But relapse is a long process. I've seen relapses take a year. If you're not moving forward, you're in relapse. Sorry, it's the truth. Hey, Allie, no more of the screw-its, girl. It happens to everybody. The fact that you can say it out loud and that you're self-aware of that, however, as much as that's a great thing, it also puts you on the hook with the captain because he can go, what the hell do you mean you have the screw-its? You're aware of this and you're not going to do anything about it? Let's get some positive in there, Allie. Why don't you go stand in the mirror? I swear to God, it works beautifully. Do you feel stupid doing it? Yeah, you do. But it works. I feel dumb as hell doing it, but I still do it. And I've been doing it for 8 years. At this point, people, there's a story that people love to tell, and it's a public speaker thing. Because every public speaker I've ever met tells this story, and they will all tell you that it's their mother. They're all lying. But the story goes that, this mother is, and as a public speaker, I would just lie and say it's my mom too, because that's what they do. So my mom used to make meatloaf, right? And, the concept, right? And she'd get to the end of it and she'd whack the ends off, right? So that they were completely flat on both ends. And that's just how my mother made meatloaf. And one day my grandmother came by and said to my mother while we were eating, is there a reason that you cut the ends off of the meatloaf? Like, why do you do that? And she said, Mom, you taught me to do that. I learned that from you. And her mother said, our pan was this big. Like, Mom was cutting the ends of this off to make the thing fit in the pan. You feel me? Right? It's amazing how often we can do really ridiculous, stupid things that seem to make sense because it just seems like the person before us did it. You follow what I'm saying? It's so easy to get screwy. But truthfully and honestly, hold on one second. Diary of a Ghost. I love this. I'll come down there and talk to them. We have people here helping one another and saying, you know what? I would be willing to come down there and help you. My kids have autism. I could come down there and I could talk to them with you. You know what, people? Are you catching this? That's freaking connection. How do I kill the ants? This is right in the title, right? The answer to the question is literally in the question, right? What is an ant? An ant is an automatic negative thought, right? How would you counteract an automatic negative thought? Huh? You put in a thought into your dome and you do it manually, right? You purposely put positive stuff into your head. Automatic? No, manually. You have to go in and put it in because it's not going to do it automatically until you saturate with it. Now, I literally do it automatically. I do have thoughts during the day that go, you're killing it. We're getting closer. We're actually making headway. Like I get those thoughts. It's a buzz. But I spent a lot of time talking to myself in mirrors. I spent a lot of time journaling, right? You have to create something to eliminate something that is automatically done in your brain, right? Now, the good news is if you act like Stuart Smalley long enough, eventually they will become positive automatic thoughts. I still get ants. I get less of them. And I'm very good at killing an ant, right? When they come on, I'm gone. I'm not staying in the same place that I am when the ants come on. I'm not, because ants come on for a reason. You are doing something that is inviting that into your dome, right? And the easiest way to change that for me is I have 5 senses, right? I'm going to bombard them, right? I've been looking at this wall, and Captain Kirk's shirt all day. And I start going and I'm doing, text messages back and forth and I'm emailing people and I'm sitting at the desk and I start getting those automatic negative thoughts. I'm sitting there and they start going. I promise you, I'm no longer looking at these 4 walls. I'm not going to listen to the water fountain of squirrels, water doing that. All of these things, that's right. The air conditioning, all of these things, my sound, my sight, my smell, I'm going outside. I'm going to start walking and I'm going to see things going by and I'm going to see, and my brain has to process all of those, right? All this new stimuli that my brain has to process, it sure as crap can't do while going, you're a loser. Mom never liked you. Your brother's better looking. You're never going to make any money, right? And that pill's not going to help with the erectile dysfunction. That's not how it works. Get out of there. Go outside. Walk the hell around. Because when all of that stimuli is happening and you're going, oh man, look at the shadows. Every time I go outside with my brother, every time we walk out the front door, he goes, oh man, look at that. We have this view of the mountains, and the way when the sun is out, the mountain range is very jagged, but it casts shadows. And at different times of the day, you see the different shadows. And you know what? I could have lived here for 30 years doing dope and never looked at it. I promise you. But now every single time I go outside, there's that moment of awe where I just go, damn, that's beautiful. And it pretty much clears whatever's going on in my dome. And then I start walking and it's as you're walking and you're getting your energy out, right? All of a sudden everything starts and a dog goes by, right? You see a bird fly, all of these things, new smells, new sounds. That's how I do it, right? And then when automatic negative thoughts aren't there, right? When that isn't happening, damn, you're right. When that's not happening, that's a great opportunity to start throwing positive stuff into your dome piece. If you're sitting there and you're journaling and something comes to you and you write down in your journal, since from a child, I always wished I was a better person, and you start working that way and you realize you're going in that direction, stop it. That's not journaling. That's an automatic negative thought you're writing down, right? If you're not going to explore that and get into that, don't bother. Don't do automatic negative thought stuff. It really is bad juju. Well, I can see that. Sorry. Um, you're right, Lisa. I need to create a Connection Crew hoodie. It will be done today. You'll be able to go in the merch store before dinner and buy your Connection Crew hoodies. Hear that? I'll get it done today. Mary Smith says, my mother loved large curd cottage, yet never bought it because her mother liked small curd cottage cheese. No, grandma didn't live with us. Life, I tell you, right? Right? Um, I laugh every time I say to myself, you big dummy. The one that I used to say all the time, sadly, was F my life. And it got to a point where, like, it was a joke in the beginning, but I came to realize that it really, when I start saying it, I'm not in a good place. I'm not. And I'm getting better at it. I used to say it thousands of times a year. Now I might let a couple of dozen fly a year. And every time I do, because of how often I talk to you guys about it, every time it passes my lips, I go, oh, damn, I did it. I did it again. And I start feeling like an idiot. Stespiria, how are you today? I love this. Being out in nature is a great and humbling distraction from the negative thoughts. Damn straight it is. Damn straight it is. You know, you don't see people frowning on beaches, right? People are usually pretty happy. You don't see people frowning while they're hiking in the mountains, right? That stuff's usually reserved for they're in the cities, right? This one hits on point. Thanks, Tommy. I'm glad, Tampa, because I dig you. I really do. I'm so glad you found the lifeboat. You have made it such a better channel. You really have. You're such an addition to this channel. I am so glad you're here. I really am. And that brings us to the top of the hour. Goodness, did you just say you're going to rewatch this? Jen, I am honored. I got an email today, people. I just want to tell you, I got an email from somebody, and I started telling this in the beginning of the boat, and I thought, if I tell this story right now as a speaker, I'm going to derail everything I wanted to tell you today. So I repackaged just for the end. And if you didn't stay to the end, then you don't know I'm talking about you. But somebody wrote me an email, and as often happens, I say, could you give me a little bit more detail, right? Could you tell me a little bit more about your story? Because I'm struggling and I need help. I understand that, but that's not a lot to go on in terms of details and everything else. So I said, if you wouldn't mind telling me the story, please. Well, this person did. I have never had anybody do a better job of explaining to me what's going on in their existence. People, I want to tell you something. Opening up, sharing, and connecting will change your life. I mean that. You see what I got? This, people, is Squirrel. Squirrel does not like being held like this. She's getting a little bit better at it, but this is not her favorite position to be in as a pussycat. Probably because she knows I'm going to give her the Bugs Bunny kiss, and that sometimes has been known to. Although, look at that. Nope, she's taken off. She's going to go mess with the other Tommy Scoville because I think that's pretty much what she's got figured out. Like she looks at my brother and goes, "Oh, thank God, there's two of them." Like she's just really, really happy that whenever he's around, she just thinks there's a couple of us, and she's a happy kitty. I will be seeing you. You just introduced me to your husband. Well, I'm honored, Pebbles. Thank you so much. And nice to meet you. I'm going to be back at some point today, and then I am definitely going to be back for the night boat, but I'll be getting a couple in here. That's right. They tolerate it if they like you enough. Exactly. All right, people, have a great day. I'm Captain Tommy. Bye-bye.